I've been asked to speak on staying relevant in tech. I think you can see my screen.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, and I want to actually start, those of us in academics, we don't just assume the understanding of the basics. So when we are talking about tech, what do we actually mean? There's a need for us to understand what we mean by that. So technology is the set of knowledge, skills, experience, and techniques through which humans change, transform, and use our environment in order to create tools, machine products, and services that meet our needs and desires. That is technology in the whole sense of it. And there are two major classes of technology. We have hard technologies. They are those that give us tangible goods. And we have soft technologies. Those are those ones that give us the intangibles. And basically, there are 7 types of technology. Because I don't just want to assume that we are talking about information technology alone. There's a need for us to understand technology, as it were, particularly for those who want to venture into one area or the other. We have agriculture and biotechnology. We have energy and power technology. We have construction technology. Then we have manufacturing technology, medical technology, transportation technology, and information and communication technology, which I believe the last one is actually our point of interest. And at the same time, people can still pick interest in all other areas of technology. So when we are talking about information and communication technology, ICT, this is all about extensional term of information technology that stresses the role of unified communications and integration of telecommunications and computer, as well as necessary enterprise software, middleware, storage, and audiovisual systems that enable users to access, store, transmit, and manipulate information. That is looking at holistic view of information technology. So it has got to do with computer, enterprise software, middleware, storage, that is repository, and that is where data-based technology comes in. That is where data science comes in, and all the like. Even the audio visual systems, as well as the means of transmission of this technology. Why do we need, what is actually the need for relevance? Particularly in a time like this, we are in the era of the virtual operation platforms, and which is run by what I called 5 different C's, letter C's. The first one, we are faced with existential challenges. Number 2, accelerated changes. And number 3, overwhelming competition in the IT world. I mean, in the area of virtual experience, then virtual conferencing and electronic commerce. Why do we have to stay relevant? We are talking about challenges, changes, competition, conferencing, and commerce. All these ones are actually coming under the framework of information technology. And there is no way we can tackle any of these without actually having recourse to tech. So, and there's a need for us to stay relevant. in order to actually handle this. Take, for instance, the issue of virtual conferencing. We are on a particular interactive forum now. If you don't know how to play on with that or how to work in with that, there's no way you will be able to function effectively. And there are so many existential challenges we are facing in the world, in terms of economy, in terms of security, in terms of several issues. So all these things, they are posing a lot of challenges. Then there have been series of changes like that of COVID-19. We are having a new normal. We are having a new changes, and we have to cope with all these developments. Right. So there's a need for us to be relevant. There's a need to be relevant in ICT in order to interact and yield prospect in those 5 different areas that we have enumerated. There's a need to be relevant. And the need for relevance has got to do with the fact that this has got to do with people, number 2, process, 3, practices, 4, products, and 5, profit. So we need to stay relevant in order to be able to affect these 5 different areas where technology has got to make impact on people, process, practices, products, and profits. All right. So what do we do to stay relevant? What do we do to stay relevant? Number 1, you update yourself as a personal responsibility to stay relevant, or update yourself in terms of get acquainted with news and information, which has got to do with the latest development in the area of information and communication technology. Number 2, upgrade yourself. Training and retraining is very important. You need to upgrade yourself. You can hear one of the speakers talking about learning C++, C, and eventually is now moving on to Python. You see, all those stuff have got to do with upgrading, self-upgrading. And in order to stay relevant, the world of IT is very dynamic. And if you don't stay, trained, and at times to unlearn some things and to relearn, you may not be able to be, to stay relevant. Number 2, know about the new startups, which will be relevant to your own domain of interest, and the acquisition or understanding of smart technology, which will help in that area. Then you can also come to the area of deployment of relevant solutions. You develop solutions. Some speakers, one or two of the speakers have talked about that. That's an area where you can stay relevant in order to solve some existential problems. Number 5, get relevant skill acquisition, where your domain of knowledge go for skill acquisition so that you'll be able to stay relevant. Number 6, paradigm shift awareness. There's a need for us to understand methods, process, or procedure that are changing, and the awareness and readiness in order to transit as a result of developmental changes in the area of technology. So there's a need for paradigm shift and the awareness of it and the readiness for it. So take for instance, much more now, every learning environment or learning uh, places, on secondary school, university. They are giving credence to online education, virtual learning, and that is like a new development. So there's a paradigm shift. So it means those of us that are in that area of tech, you need to shift from pistol and mortar kind of experience, and you now go for skill acquisition in online training, virtual education. So there is a need to be aware of paradigm shift in order to stay relevant. Then context and content compliances. And you see, this is a very, very important. In your domain of study or domain of interest, there's a need for context and content compliances. You have to be aware of how things run and things that you have to put in place in order to get the necessary framework and infrastructure for technology experiences. Then cybersecurity awareness is also another area where we have to stay relevant, understanding the three major areas where cybersecurity actually feature: confidentiality, integrity, and authentication. In order to actually navigate and operate the area of IT, there's a need for cybersecurity awareness. Then policies and system guidelines. We know that from state to state, I mean country to country, different policies and systems guidelines are in place to run information technology. There's a need to get, aware of such policies. Policies have got to do with operations of people, then systems have got to do with operations of the machine and things like that. So those things are very important. We need to learn all this and to get informed in order to stay relevant. And what are the areas of relevance that we have in tech? Number one, marketing and commerce. You can venture into that. Number two, Internet of Things, where we have the development of smart technology in order to function, even online, different online activities with different gadgets in order to actually bring forth a product, by way of a connectivity of different equipment and gadgets through the operation of internet. So that's another area. Then smart technology. These days we are having smart farm, smart security, and smart this and that. So these are areas we need to actually bring our relevance in tech. Then healthcare and telemedicine. These are also other areas that are coming up where there's operation of electronic healthcare and teleconsultation. Also, we have education support system, as I've said, virtual learning environment. Then we have series of electronic learning systems that are available these days in order to prosecute our education system. Also, security and surveillance. Security and surveillance. These are different areas that are very, very intensive, which we can actually venture into. Transportation, engineering support tools, agriculture, smart technologies, they are relevant areas in tech that we can actually go into. So I just bring all this, like a summary for us to have the understanding of those areas of relevance. And now we can stay relevant in tech. Thank you for having me.